My name is Carrie Lederer, and I'm the Curator of Exhibitions and Programs here at the Bedford Gallery. Currently on view is an exhibition called Land of Magic, Artists Explore, Make Believe. This exhibition is profiling 13 artists from across the US and beyond. The artists in Land of Magic do what I think artists do best, which is to leave conventional reality behind and take us into uncharted territories or alternate universes. They take us on a journey. And in this exhibition, they're using practically every media, from drawing, painting, and printmaking to photography and video. I'm thrilled to have one of the artists from Land of Magic here today at the Bedford to talk with us about her work. We have Rosemary Scanlon, who's hailing from the North Yukon territories. And I am happy to have Rosemary here to talk with you about your work.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's nice to be here.
Tell me now, your process, you work with watercolor. How do you start?
With research, I find I spend a lot of time finding images either online, or I take a lot of pictures, photographs. I always have a camera with me to photograph my surroundings, and I compile a lot of images and then slowly pick through them and work out the composition and draw it out.
One of the things I noticed about the painting that you made called The Hunt is that there's no foreground, there's no middle ground, there's no background, that it's the image is all on one plane, very much like an Indian miniature or retable. Talk about why you structured the painting in that way.
Well, it's interesting. That was actually the first painting of that I did in this method of working, and it was inspired. I was doing an exhibition at the Burrell Collection, which is in Glasgow, and they asked artists to reinterpret their collection, which was mostly tapestries. So it was really based on looking at medieval tapestries. And when I was looking through their collection, noticed, say, if people are familiar with the unicorn tapestries, and how in the background they're filled with a mille fleur background, and every space is filled up with flowers or different things and small animals. When I saw how they structured that, there was no perspective in them, and all the elements were piled on top of each other, and they hadn't really dealt with perspective at that time, so I liked how the stories were intertwining and how you read the tapestries. And so instead of having a mille fleur background, I replaced it with a Yukon forest, a boreal forest, and then replaced the elements with a more contemporary scene of hunting, because they often had hunting scenes in their tapestries or other scenes of daily life.
Yeah, almost iconic. I mean, for instance, there's an image, a little figure chopping wood. Yeah. Tell us about the guy chopping wood. Where does he come from? What does it stem from?
There's wood chopping contests in the Yukon. I guess it's called rendezvous time, and there's it's about a week long or 10 days. And I guess it could be comparable to Mardi Gras or something, where there's kind of a need of release. It's in February, so you're kind of in the dead of winter, and they have kind of a community activity, and they have different contests, like I'm trying to think of some, the hairiest legs contest for women, and flower packing or wife packing. You can carry, there's a contest, and then you carry your wife, and there's a big race. And so there's.
Have you been carried?
No, I haven't. Our dog was in the packing race, so he pulled dog food and won his keep for the year.
Anyway, great images.
Yeah.
Really lovely. I came across your work on a blog on Megan O'Toole's My Love for You is a Stampede of Horses. You know this blog?
I do, yeah.
Because you sent your work to her. And when I first saw your work, I knew immediately this perfect for Land of Magic, and was eager to come visit. And so I emailed you and thought for sure that I would find you in San Francisco, perhaps in the Mission.
Well, yeah, it was very funny to receive your email and asking for a studio visit, and when you could drop by. Are you in the Greater Bay Area? And I just thought, oh, she has no idea where I am. And once I told you, you're like, oh, that explains the imagery. And but no, when I got your email, I was sitting in my studio up in Dawson at this residency, and it was pitch black out and it was freezing cold, and I just thought, oh, California, that sounds nice.
Yeah,
but,
quite a difference. So you were on a residency in Dawson. Your studio, however, is, describe your studio to us. Where is it, and is it in your house, or where do you work?
Well, I live in Whitehorse. It's the capital of the Yukon, and I work in a studio that's in the woodwork shop. My husband is a carpenter, so there's a little space where his father used to make guitars and in there, and so I work there, and it's heated by a wood stove, and we kind of work side by side. It's quite nice.
What's the temperature in your studio?
Depends on the season, but I think, yeah, it can be cold. It takes a while to warm up with the wood stove, so you have to start it a couple of hours earlier before you
heated.
Yeah.
Let's talk about another painting. One of my favorites is The Looking Glass. Tell me a little bit about the imagery and how that painting came together.
Mostly I was looking at the flora and fauna of the Yukon and the animals, and actually a lot of it, all the animals are painted from taxidermied animals, and I was interested in different representations of nature and how we try to preserve it. And then I put a mushroom ring, which is also called like a fairy ring, and often they appear, and there's just kind of folklore that there were fairies dancing there, and there'll be a pickup truck covered in Christmas lights, and just like in the tapestries, just all on top of each other. And so you slowly go through them and you find the different animals, and you can start making your own stories. And
yeah, it's very dreamlike. And another piece that is quite magical is the White Horse. What's the genesis of this piece?
It was mostly where I live. It's called Whitehorse, and when I travel, I had a friend from France. He's like, "I love this name. It's so magical, you know, Whitehorse," and just thought of like the mythical associations with that. So I collected different representations through time of white horses. Like one of the horses is painted from a My Little Pony. Yeah, just how we've put associations onto white horses.
Mm-hmm. Another painting that's really intriguing is the piece called Bang Bang, which has that rainbow that cuts through the piece, and it's has also an ominous atmosphere. What's going on in this piece?
Yeah, while I was in Dawson, they were digging up the ground for a new sewage plant, and they had come across some bodies while they were digging, and found out that they were from the turn of the century gold rush, and there were all these stories flying around town about who they were and people trying to research into them. I was thinking about how things float up over time and how these stories float up over time, and that they could have been perhaps can-can dancers from the gold rush, and they almost look like synchronized swimmers, or but also a little bit ominous feel to them, floating in a rainbow pool. And there's also a woman in there with a gun shooting off. When I was doing research about Dawson, there's just a number of really strong women up there who'd gone up and found some independence, and so the can-can dancers, and also, you know, just living on their own, not needing, you know, a man, and shooting their own food. And I just wanted to bring some of that into the painting. And there's a little town, could be Dawson, with the mountains and this rainbow flowing into the lake.
Yeah. Yeah, not only living on their own, but living in the weather that you struggle with there and that you encounter is in fact dangerous. And I think you capture that. There's a sense of mystery and intrigue and almost fear in the piece, and at the same time it's beautiful. So it's been wonderful talking with you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for coming to the Bedford. I hope you'll come and visit us at the Bedford to see Land of Magic, Artists Explore Make Believe. This exhibition is on view through June 12th, and you can find out more information about the show by visiting our website at www.bedfordgallery.org. Please come see us soon.